Asperger's syndrome is generally considered to be a milder form of autism. Some kids with Asperger's may have a higher than average IQ, but when it comes to socializing, they still have trouble fitting in.
My name is Bond and I have Asperger's syndrome. My brain is wired differently than a person without Asperger's syndrome. Most other kids already know how to socialize well with other people, but people with Asperger's syndrome, it takes time to learn how to interact with other people in terms of conversations. I care more about my schoolwork than typical people care about other things, like being able to spend time with their friends. Normally at lunch, I just eat my lunch, and after I'm done eating my lunch, I like to work on my homework. I've never really been interested in riding a bike or playing sports, and sometimes I like to zone out a lot. I like be in my own world, think about my own stuff, which can be a problem when I'm out in public or when I'm walking across the street.
Bond will space out and not realize that there may be a car coming back and forth, so every day after school, I always walk home with him. I'm Blaze, I'm Bond's brother. He has a really hard time getting along with people he doesn't know, starting conversations and stuff like that. But he gets better grades than I do.
But to get those good grades, Bond needs help focusing and interacting with his teachers and other kids. So he has an aide who works with him throughout the school day.
One of the things I have to work with Bond is patience and waiting his turn and letting people finish their thoughts before jumping in. My name is Heather, and I work with Bond at school.
One, dominant recessive.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's done a lot to help me over the years as we've been together. For number 3.
Yeah.
Did you understand?
You're really taking over the group, don't you think?
Like when I'm in a group, I need to make sure that I'm not being bossy with everyone and just telling them what to do instead of discussing it with them. You know what I mean?
A lot of kids are bossy, but kids with Asperger's, for Bond at least, he doesn't understand that he's being bossy.
I thought all we needed to go over was the geno and phenotype.
He doesn't want to hurt your feelings.
Asperger's causes me to overreact to things that shouldn't be that big of a problem. There were times when I was frustrated, I'd hit myself on the head or bump into people and run into people in the hallways, just slam doors. May I go to the water fountain to get a drink? Sure. As the years went on, I've been learning to deal with anger and frustration by doing things such as taking deep breaths, going to the water fountain to get a drink.
Last year I saw a lot of frustration and a lot of anger and a lot of calling out and not waiting. This year, the only thing that we're having a lot of problems with is self-talk and not realizing that people are around him when he's talking to himself.
You know what, I was in a dream, man. Remember my mother was?
He just talks to himself, moves his mouth, smiles, laughs, and he needs somebody to say, Bond, you're talking to yourself. He can't get out of that self-talk.
When you have Asperger's syndrome, there are things you can do in the privacy of your home, but things that you can't do in public.
You have to realize it is a disability like any other disability out there. And he might do something kind of weird or silly, and they'll just be like, whoa, that kid's weird, and then make fun of him and not even realize that he has a disability. But, like, that's the whole reason that people need to understand what Asperger's is.
How have you been doing this week?
It's been very busy this week.
One of the things I'm doing to help me learn how to socialize is volunteering at a local library. I'm trying to learn the skills I would need to be able to interact with other people in a workplace. See you next week.
Bye.
Goodbye. I want people to understand that if a person with Asperger's syndrome says anything in a harsh tone of voice, that they don't mean it to sound that way. And I want people to respect the fact that I might be different from them in some ways, and that's okay.